And we're just hours away from getting a new update from investigators after that deadly mass shooting in 5 Points South Saturday night.
Birmingham police set to hold a news conference at 9:15 this morning. Now, the mass shooting happened just after 11 in the middle of the entertainment district, leaving 4 dead and 17 others hurt. Here is video of police responding to that scene. Police say the intended target was among the dead, and investigators think it was a murder for hire. Now, those shot were taken to UAB, St. Vincent's, Brookwood, and Princeton hospitals.
And people now starting to put flowers outside of Hush Lounge in 5 Points as the community mourns the lives of those lost. And police have released the names of 3 of the victims: Anitra Holloman, Taj Booker, and Carlos McCain. The 4th victim has not yet been identified. And this morning, we're learning what investigators think happened leading up to that mass shooting. Now, police say that a group of shooters jumped out of a car and then opened fire outside of the Hush Hookah and Cigar Lounge. And those gunmen are still on the run this morning. And in all, police say the killers fired 100 rounds of ammo. As of right now, no one is in custody.
Do not tell me this is not solvable. And at the same time, do not tell me this is only on the police to solve. Elected officials, locally, statewide, and nationally, have a duty to solve this American crisis, this American epidemic of gun violence.
That there is Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodfin. He has been very passionate about his stance on illegal guns. Now, police believe Glock switches were used during this tragic shooting, giving gunmen the ability to switch between a semi-automatic weapon and a fully automatic weapon. And that is why BPD launched Operation Flip the Switch, which is an effort to get those exact kind of guns off the street. Mayor Woodfin calling for offenders to spend at least 10 years in federal prison.
We should not allow people to just ride around with any style type of weapon that doesn't even belong on domestic streets. It should not be allowable, period. I don't care what your politics are.
And State Representative Neil Rafferty, who represents part of the metro area, also reacting to the mass shooting. He says, "My heart is crushed as I think of the victims, their families and friends whose lives have been cut short or forever changed by another senseless act." He went on to say that we must focus on gun violence prevention, common sense regulation, education, and ensure responsible, safe gun ownership. There are 17 shooting victims who survived Saturday. Among them is Gabriel Eslami.
Yeah, he was hit from behind when gunfire erupted outside the Hush Lounge. WVTM 13's Emma Owen joining us live in studio this morning. So, Emma, what emotions is he feeling as he recovers?
Well, Scott and Carla, Eslami says he feels lucky, but also, of course, hurts emotionally, knowing he made it, but several others did not. Eslami expected Saturday to go much differently than it did. Before the shooting, he and his former classmates were enjoying a reunion, reconnecting over a picnic. After, they decided to go out together. As they waited to get into the lounge, shots rang out. Eslami ran, but within seconds could not feel his leg and fell to the ground. He was shot in his backside. His friend helped him up, and a woman working at a nearby diner applied pressure to the wound. Shortly after, his friend rushed him to the hospital.
Knowing that people woke up yesterday, not knowing that was their last day, families woke up yesterday not knowing they're about to lose their son or their daughter yesterday, and parents having to bury their own child. I mean, that's every parent's nightmare. And seeing people I even just had laid eyes on, and I even really honestly known, just on the ground. And even when I was in the hospital, seeing just the aftermath of people in there, people beside me, people on the stretchers going by, on the gurneys, seeing their injuries, just like, I mean, how do you do that? I don't get it.
Eslami is now recovering at home. Doctors told him the bullet went into his backside and it exited out of his thigh. It was millimeters away from hitting a major artery. Now he says it's scary knowing how close he was to dying. Scott?
Tough to listen to that. Emma, thank you for that report. Now, business owners in 5 Points South are concerned about how this shooting here will affect the area moving forward. Pintu Surma is the general manager of Bayleaf. He's owned the restaurant for 5 years now. He says more than a dozen people called to cancel their reservations the night after the shooting. Surma says his community doesn't feel like home anymore.
It used to be very nice before, like 2-3 years back. It was beautiful. It's very nice. Business was very good, but right now, I would say hellhole.
Yeah, he hopes they can find answers for this string of violence. He wants 5 Points South to thrive once again.
And we asked police if ShotSpotter played a role in that investigation into Saturday night shooting. They tell us there are no ShotSpotters in that area. But still, city leaders are touting that system as a crucial crime-fighting tool. But some of the nation's largest cities question the technology's accuracy, or they are dropping the service altogether. For more on the value of Birmingham's gunfire tracking investment, just click on this story on our website. And our time right now is 5:09. Again, Birmingham police will update the community on that deadly 5 Point shooting this morning at 9:15.
And we will be there. We will get those details for you. We'll bring you everything we learn in that news conference. In the meantime, police have set up an evidence portal where anyone can give information here and stay anonymous. You just can scan this QR code that's on your screen. And to keep up with the latest updates, be sure to download the WVTM 13